start with the pros. I think prime central London is still considered a safe place to put your money. There's potential for long-term capital appreciation. Also, vacancy periods are low because rental demand is so high. I also think that, London in general, but super prime as well, is in its own little bubble as such. And, I think it's very robust and, it's less impacted by, market issues, short-term market issues when compared to a lot of the country. And it always rebounds very, very quickly. Cons, stamp duty. I think obviously that's linked to value. Naturally, values are higher, so stamp duty is quite high. Capital gains tax, if I go back to the possibility of having long-term capital appreciation, that then translates into higher capital gains tax when it comes to selling the property, and also service charges. If I go back to some of those developments that I listed, the amenities are unbelievable, stunning, but that does come with a significant service charge.
Pros are obviously London around the globe is known as one of the best places to be. Best restaurants, for me, most diverse city, just a place to live. Cons, obviously, green spaces. You do have amazing parks, but it's not quite like the country or having that elbow room that you get there.
Property is a safe asset. If it goes to zero, Black Wednesday, you can live in it. You can't do that in some sort of equity stock or derivative, but the yields are pretty low. You can get better yield in the bank right now. So, it's something that is always going to be pretty safe compared to the volatility of other assets.
The problem with property is that in difficult times, boy, do you then realize it's an illiquid asset. Your exposure to the stock market, if things aren't going well, you can sell on any given day. You just ring your broker up and say sell, and you know what your downside and conversely you also know what your upside is. The problem is in awkward times, property is its illiquidity comes home to roost, and so I at the moment I just sit tight, I think.
Pros and cons of investing. Well, obviously the pros of investing is that you're hopefully going to make some money on your investment and see it grow, perhaps double it. The cons of investing is, have you chosen the right area? Are prices going to go down? It's just down to research. If you research and go down the old route of looking through everything that you have, all the information that you have in front of you, everybody has it at the touch of a button these days. There's a fairly simple structure, and then there's a risk value, as there always has been.
I always think markets find a way. And if you ask me this question today, I'll give you one answer. If you ask me this question in 6 months' time, I might give you another answer. So I would say at the moment, be very, very wise and make sure you listen to advice. In fact, I'd say that at all times. A lot of people think, what's the big deal? I'll find a house and I'll buy it. And then they only find out afterwards that, I see what the big deal was. The garage is not part of the freehold, so now it's not enfranchisable, and now I can't sell it to someone because people who want a house want a freehold. So there's things like that you might think, you might not be aware of, and no one's really there to tell you if you're doing it alone. So I think the best thing I can say is make sure you're being properly advised.
So in terms of investing in the prime central London real estate market, there are cons and there's risk. One can buy a property and it might not go up in value as much as you would hope. But equally, if one's looking at long-term ownership, we have seen a lot of our clients do very well from investing in long-term property, and we see that some of our clients, they start off with a two-bedroom flat, and there's a particular family who I've helped with several transactions move from a two-bedroom flat in Chelsea to they're probably in an £8 million house now, a townhouse in the Royal Borough, and they've always bought properties, done them up, moved up the ladder, and it's their principal primary residence, so there's no tax burden on that gain that they've realised. So actually, and my client said to me, I've made more money through moving up through the property ladder than my lucrative job. So there are some real pros in doing that, but it's not an overnight win. One's got to be committed to this process, and if you are, then I think home ownership and adding value to property is something that there's certainly a huge amount of money to be gained from.